Greetings, geeks. Welcome back to Geek to Me Crafts, where I help you source affordable craft supplies as well as provide tutorials and DIYs. So thank you for being here. Today I have a haul for you. I am so excited to show you this. It's been in the works for way too long. I apologize for it taking forever, but basically I can't believe what I'm getting for practically pennies. So this is a ledger pad, brand new. It looks vintage, and I got the whole thing for $1. What do you plan on doing with this, Rose, you ask? Well, I am getting into junk journaling. I'm also selling some supplies, some things that I find here and there. So comment below if you're interested in seeing more of this, or if you have questions about how I'm getting these things. So right here, this was a leather covered pad. I bought it strictly because the long, like 14 by 8.5 notebook paper inside had that awesome yellow vintage all around the outside of it. Absolutely love that. So what I plan on doing with these is those papers, you can fold them in half and include them in a signature inside of a book or a junk journal or an altered book or art journal, whatever you want to call it. And I've been making a few of those. So in addition to a lot of this other paper that I'm going to show you, I've got here a mostly new package of linen paper. This is typically used for a resume type of situation, but I'm going to use these for junk journaling. So it looked pretty new. It came with the original packaging here, and it has a really pretty yellowy, sort of aged antique color, but then also it's thick paper and can be used for watercoloring, stenciling, stamping, calligraphy, any of that type of writing that's going to require an inky pen. I also got a couple of other pads of ledger paper. Some were older than others, and you can see here how the colors are just slightly different. And I just really like that vintage look. It keeps me from having to ink everything to make it look old. And I mean, 25 cents is practically free. I love this ledger paper. Fold those in half, stick them inside of an old book cover. They're just really, really cool. And then I noticed this package, there is a whole stack of this, and it's tissue paper thin and ledger paper. It's got numbers all up and down the side of it. It's really cool. I'm showing you here how you can see through it. Holding something up a little darker back behind so you can see how transparent it is. And it's got those cool punches on the side. So this was for probability calculations. I am no mathematician. So yeah, whole pad of that, definitely a steal. I also found an entire box full of index cards, and I got all of the ones that looked yellowed and old. So cool. Those are going to make some really neat ephemera additions to my junk journals. Got the large size and the standard size. And then I also found this journaling, I guess it's cardstock. It's a little thicker than regular paper, but I got it because it had those cool punches on the side and it looked yellowed and vintage. I also grabbed this little notebook pad. It has like a faux blue leather outside cover, a quote from the Bible. It came with a pen. Full disclosure, I can't get that pen out. And then inside, perfect yellow journaling paper. So cute. So I don't plan on using the outside cover of it for anything yet, but I'm definitely gonna be using that paper. Then I found a 25-cent spiral of watercolor paper. It did have some stuff on the chipboard on the outside, which I can cover up or whatever, but on the inside was a whole pad of watercolor papers. Only one page had been used. It looked like a student was trying to do some magazine collage art or something, and it came out fairly easily, so definitely a deal. And then here are some envelopes. They look vintage, but they are brand new, and they had a really cool texture to them. And then I found this. This is really cool. It's a Spell Right Steno notebook. It looked like perhaps a student had used this in school. It was only 25 cents. It probably had, I don't know, 50% of the original papers left in it. But look at that patina. Look at that. It's like brown and yellow, and oh my goodness, that's perfect. And then it had a common spelling words list on the inside and outside. And this one had a little bit of writing on the inside of it here, just a list or whatever. But so cool. So I get these items at a store called ScrapsKC. I've done a couple of hauls from them before. I follow them on Instagram, and they are a manufacturing scraps warehouse where companies and just regular old folks can donate their extra materials, and the company uses them to sell. They also do classes, and then they use the proceeds from the company to give back to the homeless and the poor in our community. I went there today, and there was a box out front that said, "Are you cold? Are you hungry?" And they had like food and blankets in it, except the box was empty because we have so many people that are just in need right now. So I love visiting this place. It's fairly close to work, and I find cool stuff there every time I go. These old newspaper clips were actually wrapped around some piece of office equipment that I didn't need, but I just threw those in my cart because they looked really cool. So I believe they're from the 80s. I also noticed this box of old fasteners. These are for those ones that are like the 2-hole punch at the top of the page, and then you flip it up like a folio. I noticed the box first, and then in the inside I opened it up, and they look like brand new fasteners. They're not aged or rusty or anything like that, but I really liked that box. So I grabbed some of those. And for those of you that don't know what this is or what I'm talking about, you basically punch 2 holes in the top of your paper, and then they actually made hole punches just for that. And then you put the paper down on the spikes that stick up. You put the other piece over the 2 spikes as well to hold the paper into the folio, and then you slide those spikes closed. I picked up this stamper set by My Acrylics. There was a whole box of these that a lady had donated. They had her name on them, and they're mostly not my style or aesthetic, but I really liked these file folder looking ones and the labels. So you would use these with an acrylic block, and then you could see through the block to see where you're putting your stamper. And I have since purchased the acrylic blocks from this store as well. Over in the office supply section, I found this awesome wood-paneled Rolodex tray, and it was wrapped in plastic wrap, but what caught my eye on it was that the Rolodex cards did not have tabs on them, and they, again, had that super old yellowish brown patina on them all around the edges of every single card. I have already used a few of these with my ephemera. I like that cool little punch at the bottom that keeps the cards in the Rolodex itself. And it came with the tray. So look at that. Yeah. You had to look real even though it was plastic. So again, just an entire Rolodex full of these really great aged cardstock pieces. And you can collage on these. You can stick them in a tuck. You can add these to your junk journals. There's the Rolodex right there. I'm guessing this is circa 1979. That's my guess. If you know, comment below. So I've been looking for a bone folder as well. They don't have them at my craft store, at least in the places that I've been looking. So over where the fasteners were, I found this. This is technically a letter opener, but I think it's made out of bone. It has a very glass sort of sound to it when I tap it on things. And then this just shiny telephone organizer. Again, back before cell phones, you had to like write down people's phone numbers or memorize them. But I liked the font on the inside of here and the ABC organization at the bottom. The pad of paper over here is just sort of average. It was thin paper, but it had a kind of a cool coffee stain on it. And then, you know, I don't have to add that in later. It's already on it. I've been eyeing these stamps for a while, and they were still there the last time that I went, so I went ahead and picked them up. They're just a little container of alphabet stamps. I really like that ampersand. They're all in a serif font, and I believe they're lowercase. Yes, lowercase. I have uppercase already, and I didn't have any lowercase. Being a reading teacher, it just bugs me to have like mixed cases and stuff, so I want to make sure that I'm doing it right. Okay, so this whole next section is all of this amazing scrapbooking stuff that I cannot believe the prices of this stuff. This whole package of ephemera was so cheap. This is Tim Holtz. There's a cutout and fussy cutting stuff of everything. I love that little tag on the top of that shipping label. Price tags. A ticket to a show already cut up. I normally don't buy this kind of ephemera because I guess I can tell that it was pre-manufactured or whatever, or that it was a reprint of something actually old. But the price was so cheap for this that I couldn't pass it up. Normally this kind of thing is really expensive if you buy it brand new at the store. And I've added some of these to my ephemera, my junk journals. That picture there I added to my Irish Lovers junk journal. You can check out the link for that below. Some plane tickets. I love that stamp right there. Luggage tag. Train ticket. What I guess I don't like about this kind of stuff is that if I stick it in my junk journal in a pocket and then you pull it back out, you can look at the back of it and clearly tell that it's not vintage. So I guess the way that I'm getting around that is I'm either gluing it to something so that you don't see the back of it, or I am having to use my Distress inks and oxides on the back side to dirty it up a little bit. Union Jack. I like those sight word cards, old school teacher ephemera. Coaster with a map on it. Another one with a chart. Overall, I just really enjoy this aesthetic. It's so vintage. I like the old stamps. I like the serif font. It's just a time that I would love to go back and visit. These coasters are cool. There's one for one side of the earth and the other one is the other continents that aren't shown on the first one. Some stamps. I like how that one's fussy cut with the little stamping around the outside of it. Some hotel coasters. I added that picture in with the Irish Lovers junk journal as well. Really cool stamping. Clock face. Railroad ticket. More ticket. Bingo card. Just amazing. Some circus tickets, regular old tickets. This next bit is about the this Fiskars stamps that I was able to find. There's typically 2 huge totes at this place full of this kind of stuff, and if you want to buy them brand new at the craft store, you're gonna pay $15, $20, $25 for one of these. I'm getting them for under $6 each. So that one adds a kind of like Kona wave to the bottom of my paper. And what I didn't know is that if you punch it once in the middle and then scoot it over, you line up the already punched part with the part that's painted on the side, and then you can punch the rest of it all the way across the bottom. I thought that was pretty cool. So that way I could have a completely finished edge along the bottom and not just like this weird random part in the middle that's punched and then the rest of it's not. It adds a really cool detail. Here's another punch. That one's very, very heavy. And just using this old sticky note again. I really liked this lace look. I have added that to some book cutouts that I have had to save because I needed the book cover for something, but if you use those punches on your old book pages, then it just adds some interest to them that wouldn't normally be there. And I got this purple set of scissors. I have a pair of brown ones that are like this that makes the paper look torn, but with a smaller tear. And when I saw these, I was like, oh, that's really interesting. It's just like a bigger tear. And then it's like it's more clean than just tearing it. This is a $2 brand new hole punch, and it had all of these hole punches along the side. $2 just to add some extra little punching detail interest to my paper. Yay, it works. They also had some magnets. I picked these up to help do some closure things on my junk journals. I haven't actually used them yet, but I did watch Nick the Booksmith. She used one magnet per book, but then the way that she got around the magnet being so strong is that she would pair a magnet with a washer. So she'd glue the magnet under one side, a washer on the other, and it would still connect, but not super strong. I really liked this old vintage box as well, and then when I pulled the strip out, I noticed that it had these little gold dots in it, so, you know, for 25 cents, sure. I also grabbed some of these file tabs. They are the ones where you have to lick them, which is pretty gross in this post-COVID age, so I will definitely be dirtying these up and then gluing them. But basically, you fold them in half. You can put them on the edge of paper all the way into the paper, or you can just attach it there at the bottom and then the tab will stick out. There you go, in or out. And then this store has tons of scrapbook paper and kits. So inside of this one, I'm just going to speed it up a little bit here. $4, name brand scrapbooking paper by Bo Bunny. And this particular pack has cameras, some really cool color palettes, including browns and greens. This one's called Turquoise Flourish. I need to do a junk journal that's just turquoise. I think that would be really cool. More browns. Mamarazzi, I think, is the the line for that one. And what I've really liked about this pack, especially this brand, is that the scrapbook pages are double-sided. So I can actually use the scrapbook paper in my junk journal as a page and a signature, or as in papers, whatever, to where some of my other scrapbook paper is totally white on the back. And I tend to use that for pockets and tucks instead of actual pages to do some journaling on. Chevron print. I really liked this one. It's like an old, you know, back to school kind of thing. The other side has some things that you can fussy cut. This green is so vibrant and the purple looks so pretty next to that one. Pretty purple and green on the back. Same color palette here. I really like that extra little detail in there of that vintage-ness. Pretty roses. Deep purple. All of the colors all in one. Some green. That little symbol looks like the James Bond, you know, like at the beginning where his gun, like, you know, focuses in on something. And then you could fussy cut some of these pictures out. Those are pretty cool. And then there's at least 2 copies of every sheet of this, and sometimes 3 copies. So I really could use them all as a theme inside of a book. Some pretty vintage. I like this one. It's kind of a grid. A wreath on the back. Okay, on to the next thing. So this was a cheap pack as well. So this one's just full of different cardstock. You can see on the front of one of them that just the cardstock pack was $8.99. And then I got that entire pack for $4, including all of these extra offcuts, plus a whole other unused pad of cardstock paper. Super high quality, none of it is bent up. Nice colors, bright. So this one's textured. That was the one that was $9, unused. And I don't know if you can see this here, but I was trying to show the texture on it. This one's a paper pad in browns. I really like the grid and the graph paper inside of this one, and it's got a faint etch of some mathematics that are being done on there. Then the rest of these are just some cardstock offcuts. That one was glittery. All different colors. Some are metallic patterns. That one had like a shimmer to it. Even though it was black, it was kind of like a charcoaly gray. That one's got shimmer in it as well. So just some really high quality scrapbooking materials for very inexpensive prices. Here's a huge stack of turquoise. More shimmer. Some houndstooth. Shiny red. There's the name brand right there, Making Memories. And then I got this pack for $5. I cannot believe all the stuff that was included in here. So as you can see through the cellophane here, there's a bunch of ephemera and some extra little pieces that you can add to this kit. It does have a lot of other things in here to help you make a complete kit. I went ahead and deconstructed it and just put all the things away in my organizational system in my craft room. But I am gonna open this thing up and show you what all is in here. All right, so the first thing here is a vintage looking ribbon in brown and tan. It was a package of button faces called Flare by Wow. There are 6 of them in there. They are flat backed and they had a really vintage aesthetic to it. I like this pale turquoise color. These are photo frames. There were 4 of them. So there's 2 on the back, 2 on the front. They're sticky. Came with that pale robin's egg blue color for the letters. I really like this ledger paper here in the front. And then in the back of the kit, it came with some instructions on how to put a whole book together. There's that ledger paper. It's kind of notched and cut out at the edges. There's some nice paper called Dress Shop. More ledger paper. Corner Boutique. On the back it has 5-cent labels. You could fussy cut those or just add them to something. This one's called Authentique. It's a dictionary page. Another vintage cover. Some grid paper. Very, very adorable kit. And then I got this kit for $5 as well. And this one was originally $41. It had so much stuff in it, I lost my mind and just immediately grabbed it up. I didn't even care what was in it. I instantly did not see this little package of stuff that came with it. Black rings, some gears, some buttons, a little bit of chain. It's So yeah, like I said, I wasn't totally interested in making this kit, but I wanted all that stuff to add to my collection. So here's some really interesting paper. It says Kansas City on it. Yeah. It came with chipboard. Some of it's punched, so I could use that if I wanted to, or I could cover it and make my own. Came with kind of a, I don't know, 3/4 moon shape. Came with that interesting tag chipboard. This whole kit was about sports, so it came with these old posters that were shiny, more chipboard frame. This is a cardboard alphabet. I've seen some people using these on their altered playing cards. And then a whole stack of just leather and ribbon, some twine, some bric-a-brac or whatever you call that stuff, and then a piece of more tag, package of ephemera, and then a whole stack of 7 Gypsies paper, and each one of these is double-sided. I got that whole thing for $5. I feel like I'm ripping somebody off. And I really liked the dirty vintage aesthetic of this paper pad. Newspaper cutout, old advertisements, stickers, tickets to sporting events. I used some of the golf in the Irish Lovers book. My husband requested a baseball one. We tend to go to a lot of baseball games, so it'd be a really cool place to add some of our stuff. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this, please like and subscribe. I've got way more in the works. Make sure to check out the links in the description box for other videos, as well as the links to my social media and my eBay shop. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day.